keep open one of the 4 shafts earmarked for closure. The remaining shafts will be integrated into adjacent mines. Amplats shares tumbled more than 1% after the announcement. Analysts say it's a sign that investors are concerned. Workers have expressed shock at the looming job cuts. Both NUM and AMCU say they will fight the retrenchments. And so to unpack the possible implications of Amplat's jobs cut decision, I'm joined in studio by Azar, Jammine, Chief Economist at Econometrix. Welcome, Azar.
Good evening, Nampu.
Azar, 6,000 jobs is a lot less than the 14,000 they originally hoped to cut. It's a lot less, but presumably this is going to cause untold social and economic strife for the people that are affected.
For the people that are affected, it's bad news. Make no mistake about it. In the broader scheme of things, 6,000 more people unemployed is a very small addition to the pool of 4.6 million people officially unemployed. But for those who depend on it, and one must remember that you've got whole families depending upon this, it goes way beyond just the individual 6,000 workers. You're probably talking about 60,000 people are being affected. This is serious news.
And what about for the local Rustenburg economy? You know, suddenly 6,000 jobs, 6,000 consumers sucked out of the system. What's that going to do to that area?
Well, definitely it will have an effect, but again, one needs to bear in mind that Rustenburg has benefited enormously over the past decade from the huge expansion in the platinum industry that preceded these events. So, yes, it's a little bit of a setback, but you've got to bear in mind that a lot more jobs than 6,000 had been created over the preceding decade. So it's a little bit of a pullback from that.
Now, it's very difficult, obviously, for the miners on the ground to understand even one job being retrenched. But can you just give a background as to what the challenges are that Amplats is faced with that led them to this decision in the first place?
Unfortunately, the cost structure at South African mines has been rising very, very steeply over the past few years, and the rand price of platinum has not kept pace with it. Despite the fact that the rand has depreciated, the price of platinum has actually gone backwards in the last few years in dollar terms, and therefore the rand price of platinum has not been able to keep up with costs, some of which are not related only to wages, such as electricity tariffs, water costs, and the cost of mining. A lot of the easy stuff has been mined out now. It's starting to become a little more difficult to get the mine out of the ground, and that also increases the costs.
Now, we talk about the platinum sector, but it seems as if right across the mining industry, everyone's complaining about higher costs, electricity, deeper mines, and so on and so forth. Do you foresee that we may hear more plans to cut jobs in other mines? I
think there's a high probability that we will see further job cuts in the mining industry, and that is why there were warnings that the strike activity that we saw last year in support of significantly higher wages were unaffordable, and this is now the outcome. The converse argument that the unions and the workers will put is that mine executives are earning so much more than they do that they should bear some of the brunt. But of course, you know, you don't hear headline news about 5 or 6 executives being laid off, but the amount that could be saved on that score or is being saved is equivalent to hundreds of miners at the lower end being laid off.
And just talking about the bigger unemployment picture, you talked about 4.6 million people being unemployed. Do you think things are going to get a lot worse before they get better for the South African economy in terms of jobs?
I think it's going to take a long while for us to reverse that, unless we implement the recommendations of the National Development Plan, which basically incorporates improving the educational outcomes, making people more employable, unless the labour market environment is allowed to become less adversarial, and unless the economy starts focusing on trying to create a spirit of entrepreneurship and not to just depend on handouts and on employment provided by others to encourage people to set up their own businesses, I'm afraid there's a long way to go to reverse. The only way then in which you can reverse the rising trend of unemployment is for the economy to start growing by 6 to 8% per annum. And that seems a long way off, especially in light of the very sluggish performance of the global economy at present, which impacts negatively on South Africa's economy.
Azar, thank you very much for your insights.
Pleasure.
Okay.